Hi, my name is Ben Freer. I'm an immigration lawyer for entrepreneurs. And in this video, I respond to a common question that I hear in my practice. The question is, when should I spend my E-2 visa investment? So here's a typical scenario. My client has an idea for a business with startup costs around $100,000. They set up an LLC and apply for a bank account after obtaining their EIN. And then I advise them to transfer their personal funds into the business account so they can spend their investment on everything they need to launch the business. After transferring the funds and making a few transactions, some clients will ask me if we're now ready to apply. And I respond by asking them if they've purchased everything they need to start operations. If the answer is no, then I typically tell them that we're not quite ready to apply. Now, my clients are eager to start running their companies in the US. And I certainly don't like to disappoint them, but I routinely tell them that we're not ready to apply because of two very important E-2 visa requirements. In order to qualify for the E-2 visa, you must show that your business is real and active. The Foreign Affairs Manual states, the enterprise must be a real and active commercial or entrepreneurial undertaking, producing some service or commodity. If the investment relates to a new enterprise, then you must be convinced that it will be a real and active commercial or entrepreneurial undertaking that will produce some service or commodity if the visa is issued. In practice, this essentially means that you're going to be in the best position if you've already started operating or you're right on the cusp of beginning operations. If you haven't purchased everything that's needed to run your business, then an adjudicator may not have confidence that you are creating a real and active business. The second reason why I encourage my clients to spend their money before they apply is because the US Foreign Affairs Manual states that the investment funds must be irrevocably committed. Here is what the manual says. To be in the process of investing for E-2 purposes, the funds or assets to be invested must be committed to the investment, and the commitment must be real and irrevocable. There's also some language in this section that sounds a lot like the real and active requirement. The manual states, for the applicant to be in the process of investing, the applicant must be close to the start of actual business operations, not simply in the stage of signing contracts, which may be broken, or scouting for suitable locations and property. Mere intent to invest or possessing uncommitted funds in a bank account or even prospective arrangements entailing no present commitment will not suffice. So to give you a simple example, let's say that you've started a landscaping business. You have developed a website, purchased some supplies and equipment, and paid for some professional services. Your last major items to purchase are the mowers, the work truck, and the trailer. Since these items will be relatively expensive, you decide that you will purchase them after you get the visa. Unfortunately, by failing to make this purchase, an adjudicator could say, wait a minute, we don't really have a business yet. We aren't going to approve this since we're not convinced that this business will be real and active. Further, they could review the visa on the basis that you haven't placed enough of your investment at risk in the business. Some clients will say to me, listen, Ben, I understand the requirements, but it's highly impractical for me to spend the entirety of my E-2 visa investment before I apply. For example, what if the client is in the process of opening a coffee shop or a restaurant? They have already purchased the necessary inventory, furniture, and equipment. They signed a lease and construction is in progress, but it will take some time to complete the project. And let's say if the interview wait times for the relevant country are around 4 months. If my client waits for construction to be completed before they submit their application, they may end up paying for 4 additional months of expensive commercial rent without being able to open the restaurant. In that type of scenario, as long as we can show that 1, we've purchased everything else that's needed to operate the business, and 2, the construction will be completed by the time of the interview or shortly thereafter, it could be worthwhile to take a calculated risk by submitting the application before 100% of the construction budget has been spent. So as a general rule, if your business costs around $100,000 to establish, you should aim to spend 100% of those funds before you apply. In the Foreign Affairs Manual, you'll see this general guidance under the section that talks about the proportionality test. And as a brief aside, the proportionality test essentially says that the lower the cost of your business, the higher of a percentage of investment is required. higher cost businesses can qualify with a lower percentage of the investment committed to the business. The example in the manual states, investments constituting 100% of the total cost would normally qualify for a business requiring a startup cost of $100,000. At the other extreme, an investment of $10 million in a $100 million business may be considered substantial based on the sheer magnitude of the investment itself. Now, I know what you're thinking. The $100 million example isn't particularly helpful since it's so extreme. But the key takeaway here is, if you have a high-cost business, which I consider to be around $1 million, then you can probably get by with spending less than 100% of your investment before you apply for the visa. So there you have it. You'll generally aim to spend as much of the startup budget as possible before you apply for the E-2 visa. However, if your overall investment is massive, or you can clearly explain how additional funds will be committed by the time of the interview, you may be able to submit your application without fully committing the entirety of your startup budget. Of course, you'll want to fully discuss your options with your immigration lawyer before you decide on the best course of action given your unique circumstances. I hope this general information was helpful. If you did enjoy this video, please like it or pass it along to someone who may benefit from it. Thanks for your time.